Hi everyone, I'm Emma, a marketing manager who lived and breathed my job. I prided myself on my dedication and hard work, dreaming of climbing the corporate ladder. But an elegant lunch with my boss, Mr. Thompson, revealed a darker side of ambition that tested my integrity and led me down a path of revenge. One day, Mr. Thompson invited me to a luxurious lunch at the city's most opulent restaurant. This was a big deal. I'd been working tirelessly for years, and this lunch was supposed to be about my long-awaited promotion. Mr. Thompson and I had always had a good working relationship. He was demanding but fair, and I respected his leadership. As we walked into the restaurant, I couldn't help but marvel at the elegance of the place. Crisp white tablecloths, shimmering chandeliers, and waiters who glided around like silent shadows. The food was just as exquisite as the ambience. We chatted about my recent accomplishments, the upcoming project launch, and my vision for the department's future. I felt a surge of pride as he commended my work ethic and strategic thinking. Everything was going well until we reached the end of the meal. Mr. Thompson leaned back in his plush chair, a curious glint in his eye. "Emma," he began, "you've done an excellent job, but to secure this promotion, you need to prove your loyalty to the company." My brow furrowed. "Loyalty? What do you mean?" I asked, a knot tightening in my gut. "Since the company is tightening its budget," he explained, "you'll need to cover today's bill as a gesture of your commitment." My jaw clenched. I was shocked. A quick mental calculation revealed a gut-wrenching sum: $450. It was a significant chunk of my paycheck. The air hung heavy as I stared at him. I knew this wasn't a test of loyalty. It was a blatant exploitation of my ambition. Trying to mask my indignation, I forced a smile. "Mr. Thompson, that's a very expensive lunch." "I wasn't expecting." He cut me off with a dismissive wave. "Think of it as an investment, Emma, in your future." Cornered and feeling utterly betrayed, I reached for my purse, slid out my credit card, and signed the bill. Rage built inside me. This wasn't just about the money. It was about his complete disregard for my hard work and his audacity to exploit my vulnerability. I wouldn't let him get away with this. A few days later, things took an even darker turn. Mr. Thompson called me into his office and plopped a thick stack of documents on his desk. "These need your signature, Emma. Urgent." I skimmed the papers, my heart plummeting into my stomach. They were financial reports, but the numbers were off. Way off. Discrepancies screamed at me from every page. It was a blatant attempt to cook the books. "Mr. Thompson," I stammered, "these figures, they don't seem right." "Let's just say they need some adjustments," he said as a predatory smile played on his lips. "Consider it a formality." Now, this wasn't just about a promotion anymore. My boss was asking me to be an accomplice in his crime. Being the good employee that I was, I would have agreed to my boss's wish, but this was something else. This was about going against my ethical and moral principles. I decided I wouldn't be a pawn in his corrupt game. I took a deep breath before stating my final decision. "Mr. Thompson, I can't sign these. This is unethical, illegal." His smile suddenly vanished. It was replaced by a menacing look in his eyes that I had never seen before. "Think carefully, Emma. Careers have a funny way of ending abruptly when someone decides to be difficult." His voice was laced with veiled threats, a not-so-subtle reminder of his power. I could have easily quit my job at that point, but I chose not to. I decided not to let him bully me. "I won't be a part of this," I declared confidently. He slammed his fist on the desk. "You'll regret this, Emma. I can make sure you never work in this industry again. You think someone with your experience will be easy to place?" His words stung, but they wouldn't break me. I felt confident in what I was doing. I wanted to expose a corrupt individual and protect the company I poured my heart and soul into. The next few days were a blur of nervous energy and calculated planning. I started discreetly gathering evidence. I saved every email exchange with Mr. Thompson, meticulously documenting his instructions and veiled threats. I also recorded our conversations whenever he called me into his office. As days passed, sleep became a luxury I couldn't afford. My nights were spent hunched over my laptop, piecing together a timeline of Mr. Thompson's suspicious activities. Soon, My research revealed a trail of embezzlement that stretched back years. The money he was siphoning off wasn't petty cash. It was a significant sum. Mr. Thompson wasn't the honest man he pretended to be. Armed with this information, I knew I had to act. However, I knew taking down someone like Mr. Thompson required a strategic approach. An accusation without solid proof would be a gamble I wasn't willing to take. So, I took the first step anonymously. I contacted the company's internal audit team, planting a seed of doubt with a carefully worded email highlighting discrepancies in the financial reports I'd accessed. The email didn't mention Mr. Thompson by name, but it was a nudge in the right direction. Next, I requested a meeting with the board of directors. My presentation focused on the department's performance, but I subtly weaved in anecdotes about Mr. Thompson's questionable practices and his tendency to micromanage projects. I highlighted instances where he prioritized personal gain over company welfare. A week later, an emergency board meeting was called. As it turned out, my anonymous tip had triggered a full-scale investigation. With the information I gave them, the auditors had uncovered a web of deceit woven by Mr. Thompson. The evidence was irrefutable. It showed years of embezzlement, cleverly disguised financial statements, and a trail of offshore accounts. At that point, Mr. Thompson's world came crashing down. The same man who threatened to ruin my career was escorted out of the building by security. But the story doesn't end there. During the investigation, it was revealed that Mr. Thompson had been funneling the stolen money into a secret offshore account. The good news? The company decided to use this recovered money for the greater good. A significant portion was allocated as employee bonuses, and the remaining amount was used to fund new projects and initiatives. In a surprising turn of events, the board offered me Mr. Thompson's position. It was a tempting offer. It was a chance to climb the corporate ladder I'd envisioned for so long. But as I looked around the table at the faces of my colleagues, I realized I had to do something else. There was David, a brilliant but overlooked analyst who had been passed over for promotions for years. His dedication and expertise were undeniable, yet Mr. Thompson's favoritism had kept him stagnant. With all due respect, I began, addressing the board. While I appreciate the offer, I believe David's skills and experience would be a better fit for this position. A murmur of surprise rippled through the room. The board members exchanged curious glances, but after a brief discussion, they agreed. David's promotion was announced company-wide, and the look of pure joy on his face was a reward in itself. As for me, I decided to take a different route. The bonus I received became the seed money for my own consultancy firm. My focus? Helping companies detect and prevent financial fraud. My experience with Mr. Thompson had been a harsh lesson, but it fueled my passion to protect others from similar downfalls. My firm, Integrity Shield, quickly gained a reputation for its meticulous approach and unwavering commitment to ethical practices. Ironically, one of my first clients was my old company. We worked together to implement robust financial safeguards, ensuring that no one like Mr. Thompson could ever exploit them again. In the end, my revenge wasn't just about bringing down a corrupt boss. It was about creating a future where integrity and honesty were valued. It also gave me a chance to use my experience to empower others and ensure that hard work and dedication were rewarded, not exploited. And that, for me, was a victory far sweeter than any promotion. What would you do if you were in my place?